think you all know our name already. We're Team xAPI Gnome, and we've been working on this onboarding checklist. And I'll just give a shout out to all of the members of our team that have been meeting regularly, weekly meetings to get this project underway. And we've got Dave Smith, Patrick Selby, Brenda Bannon, Rob Hauk, and then our team here at Torrance Learning is 4 of us, myself and Matt Kliewer, Allison Haas, and Megan Torrance. So that is everybody on our team. And so onboarding, some people are probably familiar with this term, but I just thought I'd throw it out there that like the problem that we were looking at and trying to address with xAPI for this was onboarding. It's complex. There's a lot that happens in that first stage when you're a new hire at a company, and our thinking was that a lot of what happens can't really be tracked very well. So maybe you'll do some e-learning, but maybe you're also reading a bunch of things and you're meeting new people and you're taking a tour of the campus or the buildings. And so we thought xAPI was a great way to start to track that experience. And so we thought of, a checklist of all the things that you would do as a new employee. And then we were also looking at specifically the Internet of Things bounty. And basically I know some groups are also doing something similar with Internet of Things, but I know not everybody is going after that bounty. So just a quick overview of what that means. We're talking about interconnected network of devices. I'm going to show you a picture of some of the devices that we are playing with here in just a minute. But the idea is that here's some fantastic quotes about how the idea that our lives will be enhanced by connecting all these devices, and that the data that we get from that will help enable us to do more and more. And in a way, it's a little bit similar to xAPI because xAPI is all about getting more data than what SCORM currently gives us. So that data can lead to more knowledge and more action taken on that knowledge. So that is Internet of Things. And here's just for those of you who are a visual way to look at that. And this was a picture, Brenda was lent this picture by the Fairfax Fire Department. They're actually looking at this as well and how they can use that for their training. And so we're talking about a host of devices and things that will track experiences and send xAPI statements back to the LRS. And so all of these things working together. So here's some things. We have on the far left is a gimbal beacon. I'm looking at it over here on the desk right now. It's about the height of it is about the height of like 2 quarters standing on top of each other. So like that just gives you a little bit of a reference for size there. The first 3 items going left to right are all Bluetooth low energy. Is what they use, and the gimbal beacon on the far left does temperature sensing as well. And then the next one over is a punch-through light blue beam, and that's got even more sensors than the beacon has. And some of those sensors are temperature and accelerometer, and the light blue beam can be programmed with Arduino code. And then the next one, that red box, it's a little bit orangish looking in this picture, but it's red. That it has 10 sensors on it, and that's by Texas Instruments. Oh, yeah. And then the last one, also Texas Instruments, is a CC3200 Simple Link Wi-Fi board, which has a temperature sensor, accelerometer, it can be programmed, and it has external modules that can be plugged into it. And that one runs on USB power versus the other 3, which are battery powered. Did you have a question, Craig?
No, I was just trying not to salivate over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we have right now that we are interneting and trying to track with xAPI.
Cool.
Okay, so gnomes. You're all probably curious, why are we talking about gnomes? Gnomes are memorable, and they work really hard. They get a lot done, and and they're all about the experience, right? And so that's kind of like a nice way to think about it. But really, actually, what we were thinking was that they're really portable. So if you're thinking about an onboarding experience, our GNOME can be sort of a stand-in for a person. And so when we have something on our checklist like go and talk to your manager, we can use that in a demonstration and say, oh, go talk to your manager. Oh yeah, that's your manager over there. It's that GNOME. And so people can try it out and see how it really works. If anybody has been looking at our Google community, you may have seen some of these pictures in the past, but I thought I'd just kind of show you our project and how it's changed and evolved over the past 10 weeks. So we started with this huge brainstorm of, if we're looking at a checklist and we're looking at Internet of Things and onboarding, what are all the different ways that something might get checked off on the checklist and the interactions that are happening there. So we've got writing and observation and temperature sensing and beacons and web bookmarks and all sorts of stuff there. And then you can see there's 3 arrows at the very bottom, and that's like the outputs that might happen after the checklist is completed, or when a particular item is completed, something might happen. So that was where we started, big brainstorm. And then we had to take our brainstorm and because we realized we couldn't cover all of that and get all of that accomplished in a matter of 14 weeks or 20 weeks or whatever it is that we have in the end. So we put our checklist into a checklist and started looking at what are the things that we can accomplish. And essentially, if you're familiar with Agile software project management methods, above the blue line is like, this is our sprint. This is the chunk that we thought, okay, we can accomplish this in design cohort number 3. So that was kind of the next iteration, is biting off a piece to chew on. Okay, so then I'm going to introduce you to Finbert. And Finbert came about because, and you'll meet him a little bit later, or you'll see more about Finbert later. So Finbert came about because we were trying to like wrap our heads around this and like, what's on the checklist and how do we put this in context? And so Finbert became our GNOME to be kind of give us the framework. And so Finbert, he is a new employee at Fresh Fish in Nome, Alaska. And they have a long-standing tradition of flash freezing and packaging prime Pacific fish and delivering our delicious products to quality retailers around the world. So we gave him this little backstory so that we could start to understand, like, okay, what is the person who's doing this checklist doing? So you'll see more about fish in a little bit. Then we looked at a little bit of the visual design. So what's gonna be visible on our checklist, and what are some of the things that we need to consider? And you can see a couple of iterations of the visual design there. And then here's another additional iterations where Matt found some examples. And this was built on Backbone JavaScript framework. So this became kind of, this iteration was the working one, and then our design, and then by taking those together, you can see here we've got the web version on the right, and then the phone mobile version on the left. So taking this, which was actually functional but didn't incorporate our visual design, we get to our current iteration, which looks a little bit more like what you saw.
Oh, yeah.
Of the visual design. So now I will actually show you our current iteration. So here we have, this is the web version, but this works on mobile as well, which you'll see in just a little bit. So each checklist item appears here, and when you click on a checklist item, it drops down and gives you additional information about exactly what is it that you need to do in order to complete this item. So our first one, really simple and easy. You click the button and say you have done that thing. So we're trusting that the learner here has actually done that thing and gotten their photo taken. Okay, so that's our easy one. So then we get a little bit more complex. We have a link. So we go to the link, and that brings us to this page about how to identify the 5 salmon species found in Alaska, because that's pretty important for Finbert to know.
Yeah.
What are those salmon species that he's got to work with. So he's got to learn about what's on this link, and by clicking the link is what sends that xAPI statement, and I'll show you the statements in the LRS in just a little bit. So that's the next one. We've got another entry type here, the number of salmon species. Craig, do you remember how many salmon species there are in Alaska?
I believe there were 5.
Craig? Yes, 5. All right. So we submit that. Okay, then we get to rate that website. How good was it? Did it help us? Yes, excellent. Resource. We can submit that. So it turns red there as a way to indicate that something is happening. You know, that xAPI statement is being sent to the LRS, and then the LRS actually sends confirmation back to the checklist saying, "Yep, got it," and then that's when the item turns gray and gets checked off. Let's see. Okay, so we got complete a tour of the warehouse. This one requires that you come within range of a beacon. I'm going to show you that one in just a little bit. Our What Do You Gnome course. This one actually is not quite functional yet. That's the one that we're working on right now. Talk to your manager about your first week at Fresh Fish. This is our NFC tag. To check it off, I'll also show you that one in just a little bit. And video is another one that we're currently working on. Find Your Locker is our QR code. So we've actually got a QR button in there, and on the web version it says, "Oops, sorry, you need that mobile app in order to do that one." And then the last one I'm going to show you right now is read about how to clean a fish. So this one is going to a website and then using our bookmarklet. So I'm going to switch over to the website here. And this is a website that you've got to learn about exactly how do you clean a fish. And so I'm going to say, yep, okay, looks good. I've read this, and I'm going to use my Gnome Reporter bookmarklet. So by clicking that, I get this lovely window over here, pops up, and I get to give it a rating and tell the LRS that I have indeed read this website. So I'm going to save that. All done. And then when I go back to my checklist and click the sync button at the top, now the item gets checked off because that happened on its own, sending that statement to the LRS. So that's the checklist there. I'm also going to just peek this open, you can see our idea is we'll have more checklists and more information that you can access on the left-hand side there. And let's take a look at our LRS. So there we go. We completed getting our photo taken. We viewed the website. Craig answered that there was, or I'm sorry, Finbert answered that there was 5 salmon species. He commented. We've got, we read the website of how to clean a fish. So that is that. Now back to presentation. So you can see the next piece. So these are the ones that we couldn't check off on the web version. And
cool.
I don't think you guys are able to hear.
Oh, I can't hear it. I can see it fine though.
Okay. So this one is the NFC tag. So just tapping the phone to the tag checks it off. And this one is the QR code.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. And then the next one, this one says, okay, you've got to press a button on the TI Simple Link. So Matt's going to press the button. And once the light comes on, there it is. Now he can refresh the checklist. And there it is. It's marked off complete.
Nice.
And then the last one is the beacon. So this one, when the phone comes within range of the beacon, it'll sense with the Bluetooth that it's within the range. So we just kind of faked it here by putting the battery into the beacon.
Right. Okay, I was going to say, it's broken. Meg, it's broken.
Just so you could see both the phone and the beacon all in the same shot there.
That was very clever.
So that's that. And let's see, we have one last slide. So coming soon, what are we working on? We are rubbing our little hands together and deciding what we're going to incorporate next.
I'm appreciating the GIF.
That's in there for you, Craig.
Thank you.
We want to add something that happens once all the items on the checklist are complete. We want to make sure that does something else at that point and sends more xAPI statements and does more interneting of things. We need some scoring in there. We'd like to look at some reporting. We've got some administrative interface stuff. We'd love to add multiple checklists, having a way for, like, if you're an employee, you do something, but it doesn't get complete until a manager checks it off. So having kind of that manager interface for somebody else to do something that then checks off something on somebody's checklist. Having like a schedule or like a calendar functionality so that you could see, like, if there's things on the checklist have certain due dates, that would be really cool. We have more things we want to internet and more internets that we want to internet.
Right, that elusive internet of internet. Yes.
Some of these things, you know, aren't. And then we want to have some Twitter integration. And then we thought we would also, I mean, we would love to hear what other people's ideas are. So we'd love it if other people have ideas of more cool things that we could do.
Now, people can.
And that's all. That's all I got for you. Cool.
Well, Meg, actually, to the entire group, this is a great. Well, one, it's a great presentation, great update. I have a lot of questions. Actually, but I'll let people go first. But before I do that, I'll ask one question. If people want to give you feedback after the meeting or want to see a bit more about the process, would they be able to go to your Google G+ community?
Yes. Yep. I believe it's public and open, so you don't have to necessarily join. You could even just, I think, see what we're up to and ask questions there.
Cool.
You're always welcome to email me. So.
Well, I posted that link in the chat, so that's available there. Does anybody have, actually raise your hands if you have any questions, guys? Because there's a lot. There's a lot in this presentation.
Sorry.
No, in a good way. In a good way.
Packed it all in there.
Yeah. All right, no. Oh well, well, one thing I wanted to ask. I know that Dave Smith did a demo at Learning Solutions. Was he demoing a lot of the stuff that you were showing today?
My impression was that yes, he was. He demoed the NFC tags, and his LMS was, because he had a different version of it, so his LMS had the course set up so you could go to the course on the LMS and then come back and see it as complete on the checklist. And
cool. And final question for me, although I have more, but I'll keep things moving along. What did you find it difficult working with I saw that you had the TI, the third item from the left when you had that product shot. How was it work? What was it like working with that?
That is a good question, and Matt is actually the one that's working with it.
Well, I'm gonna. Oh, hold on. Matt Kennington has his hand up. I'm going to Wait, no, but you're saying Matt Kliewer, actually. Is that
yeah? Matt Kliewer. Yeah.
So Matt Kliewer, whose name I'm pronouncing incorrectly.
It's okay.
There are three of him. I'm going to unmute one and see if that works. Oh, no, he's giving me the right. He's got his hand up. Hey, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I think I gave my link to Megan, not realizing that was my individual link. But anyhow, yeah. So the sensor tag, I think is what you're referring to there. Third from the left. Yeah, that one I'm having some trouble with for certain things because we're using PhoneGap for our app. So I'm just trying to get the code for the sensor tag, and a lot of the code I'm finding is for the previous version of the sensor tag, and so they made some changes. It used to have 6 sensors, now it has 10, so I'm trying to find exactly the right combination of things to get the sensor tag to get data. I can get the push button on the side pretty easily, but there's a lot of the sensors I'm still having to get the right code for.
Okay, and actually, Matt, could you say the name of that sensor again?
Yeah, it's called the sensor tag. It actually has it's the 2650, I think, is the name.
Okay. I know that Anthony Altieri, he was saying that the CC2541 has a firmware update that helps a lot.
Okay, yeah, see, I was trying to do the firmware update for the 2650. That was the trouble. One of the problems I was having is that their app didn't have that as an option. So I was kind of running around like, how do I update the firmware on this through Bluetooth if I have to do it through a phone and then I don't have the proper app? So still working on that part.
Okay. I know that Matt Kennington has a question, so I'm going to unmute him. Hold on a moment. Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Hi there.
Hey, first, before you answer, Matt, sorry we didn't get a chance to connect when you were on this side, when you were in this area, rather.
No worries. I'll be back in July.
Oh, cool. I will be here in July. It's almost it's coincidental, but please go ahead.
So yeah, I'm curious about some of the ways that you implemented some of that. I'm especially I saw the NFC piece, so I'm guessing that you guys are running that web app in the sensor capable container, titanium or something like it.
Yeah, we're using PhoneGap.
PhoneGap. Okay. Cool. And so, and did you also end up using something like that for the BLE stuff, or did you actually use something in the TI board to transmit out to the server and then get the data back?
We are using a Bluetooth plugin for PhoneGap. So Evo Things is a good source of some sample code, and there's some other ones if you just look for PhoneGap, Bluetooth, sometimes depending on the beacon manufacturer you buy, but for things like beacons. But the Evo Things has several samples for sensor tag and Estimote and a couple of the other manufacturers. So.
Yeah, we actually do a whole bunch of BLE work too, so it's of interest to me. And then other than just the messages back to the web app saying that, yeah, I got this, did you guys actually end up building anything around the LRS data?
We haven't done anything as far as like any reporting. That was going to be kind of a separate project, kind of accompanying it as far as like a visualization. Right now, the only visualization of that you did something was in the app itself when it marks it gray. So it is actually going, it's sending the statement, getting a response from the LRS that it got that statement, and then marking it off at that point. But other than that, we don't have yet any external visualization.
Just curious, I was watching the presentation and thinking that some of the really neat things that could come from it are you could have sensor input to, for example, determine when somebody went to somebody's room, but then you would need to have sort of a confirmation mechanism to determine whether or not the topic that was supposed to be spoken about actually was. Little things like that.
Right.
Anyway, good job, guys. That's pretty amazing. You guys have do some talented work there in PhoneGap. That was nice.
Well, thanks.